There's this amazing synchronicity of the development of quantum physics on the one hand, and on the other hand the development of the complex or analytic or depth psychology of Carl Gustav Jung, culminated in the meeting of two giants. One is Jung and the other is Wolfgang Pauli. Wolfgang Pauli was one of the most important physicists who were in the 20s and 30s of the last century, was present and involved in all the most important discoveries and developments of quantum physics. And Wolfgang Pauli himself got famous and the Nobel Prize for discovering the Pauli principle of exclusion principle, which is related to the spin. So the discovery of the spin was related to his research. Pauli got to know Carl Gustav Jung in the first place as his own psychologist and psychoanalyst. But from this meeting between a doctor and a patient, first of all a long friendship of more than 20 years developed, and then also a deeper collaboration between Jung and Pauli, and also a very inspired but also controversial discussion. And it was always about the one topic, that physics and psychology have to meet, because psychology is describing the inner world, physics is describing the outer world, but both of these geniuses were convinced there's only one world. So why shall this one world be described by two completely different ways of science, which have two completely different languages, and normally a physicist and a psychologist don't have a common ground to talk with each other or to meet on a scientific basis. So both of these great scientists, Jung and Pauli, were convinced that we need one science which is dealing with the one reality, which is like something like a psychomatter or a metapsyche. And you even see by these difficulties which we have in just naming it, how shall we call this one reality, that we need a new language. This is what Pauli and Jung called a neutral language. We have to develop a neutral language to talk about this one reality. And both Jung and Pauli were not just pure scientists in a way, but they also had a deep metaphysical, or I would say also alchemistic background. So it's very, very interesting discussion, both of them, which in the end, when both of them died in the 50s, didn't give a perfect answer to this question, but just stressed the importance of this project to bring matter and psyche together in one science. And I'm very strongly convinced that we have now a clue to solve this conflict between matter and psyche by looking at the science of the informational field. And this is our work which we do with time runner. We understand that behind matter there is a dimension, a physical dimension, the informational field, which is responsible for the physical processes, which is also partially in control of these physical processes, and which on the other hand is very deeply connected to the human psyche. So this information, looking at the informational field, is looking at the level of reality where psyche and matter at least meet, and to get an insight into the dynamic processes of the informational field helps us to understand why things are happening the way they are happening, how psychic or psychological states connect to events in the real physical world, and how the other way around works. This is what Jung called and Pauli called synchronicity, which we all observe again and again, that we are thinking something, we have an inner vision or an inner experience, and in the outer world something corresponds bonding happens. Every one of us has experienced this. You think about a dear friend, and in this moment you perceive an email, get an email from the same person, or you get a phone call. And these are just the most common type of experiences. Many things happening in our life like this, and which are completely mystical. To explain this kind of synchronicities, Jung and Pauli worked on this, what we call informational field. So time waver is designed as a practical an interface, a quantum physical interface, to communicate with the informational field, to get bits and bytes of information from the background of physical and psychological reality, to more deeply understand why things are happening in the way are actually happening, and also to get a clue how to solve the problems on a very deep level. So this is the intention of the work with time waver, to understand and to treat problems or diseases on a deeper level, on the level of the informational field, and practically start to work on this level.